morning, what's going on? Welcome to Traders Reality Crypto Projections channel, episode 20. What's happening, people, man? It's been a little while. As you know, we don't do projections over the weekend. We stay away from trading at the weekend, the most volatile time in the marketplace. You know, light trades, light volume, and price always tends to go to wild zones, as you can see with what's happened with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP across the board. So let's have a conversation. We've had Monday, the false move week beginning. Market makers effectively used the weekend to move price down to the lower realms. We're talking the 42 mark, man. Scary place to be. Or is it? You know, we need to consider what's happened before that to understand why price is behaving the way it's behaving right now. Let's consider the fact that we've just come from a 1 week cycle to the downside. You've got the M formation up here. Price drops, rise level 1. Takes out the next zone, covers the level 1. Drops all the way down here, rise level 2. Now we have the drop, takes out the previous zone, drop level 3, peak formation. We understand that. Notable volume coming in on the first leg of the W formation. Price returns back up towards the 50, comes down and forms a low, pins the low, stays within the previous low right there, comes back up and again hits the 50 and rejects it. And now she could she could be looking at coming back down, okay, to form what we understand to be the second leg of a W formation, as you can see right here. Look, notice how there's a presence of the stopping volume candle right here at the start of the Asian session, okay? Now, the fact that they've showed resistance at the 50 EMA, okay, is very important. Notice how the psychological low for the week, okay, is in sight and price is at the 50 EMA and showing rejection towards it, all right? Why is this important? Well, we need to understand something, okay? Bitcoin right now has actually shown support at the pivot zone, all right? From last night's stream, we were trying to establish whether or not this zone would hold. If you paid attention, the M2 zone itself was down here, okay? And now it's been adjusted for the new session, all right? So this is where the support of the M2 zone will be. If the M2 does hold in the same session, and Bitcoin shows traction towards the upside, we should be realizing the M4 pivot zone. But what do we need to see before any of that happens? Pretty simple. We need to see price break and confirm the 50 EMA. If she breaks above the 50 EMA, we would need her to come back, retest it, and then continue higher, which will be in confluence with the psychological low, which will then take us to the M4 pivot zone. All right? More importantly, we've got to understand that Bitcoin has returned back to a previous liquidity pool. If we drop down to the 15-minute time frame, we can see that clearly right there. Look at that. Zoom in, move out. There we go. Previous zone. Bitcoin came up, tested it, which sat at the 200 EMA on the 15-minute time frame, which is the 50 EMA on the hourly. All right. Now she's coming back to test what we understand to be the 50 EMA on the 15-minute time frame. But if you look on the hourly, it's the 13 EMA. All right. So we are at a point where one or two things is going to happen. She's either going to come back down and continue to form the second leg of the bigger W. All right, which could actually bring price back down to this point here, which will be the 43,648 mark, which is the M2 pivot support zone. All right. So it's very important that we pay attention to what happens here. The daily open, which is this blue line right here, sits at the daily pivot, which is very interesting. We've got confluences building up there, but we need to be paying attention to what the candlesticks are doing. Notice how this red candlestick right here didn't finish strong at the lows. It means they were just getting busy, taking out the previous the liquidity towards the downside so they can get their longs filled at lower prices, all right, and then keep price within a certain range. Now, the fact that Bitcoin come back and hit this zone, the previous liquidity pool, is really good news for me. Why? Because if she holds support at the 50 EMA, we could effectively be seeing a small version of the pattern rising up. So look, you can see price comes up, retrace back to the 50, continuation back to the upside, which will take us to the psychological low. After the psychological low has been formed and shown support, we will be looking at taking this previous zone right here of liquidity, which will be between the 47 and the 46 mark. As always, guys, always wait for confirmation. Your confirmation in this situation is price closing above the 50 EMA, but testing it and moving away from it. That's the important part. You can clearly see that they've accumulated longs by looking at the red candlesticks. You can see red, red, red. It's all happening in this area here, but price isn't dropping. Alternatively, we could also see Bitcoin drop completely even lower. But what we have right now, okay, is Bitcoin is holding the zone right now. For us to be concerned about anything, Bitcoin will need to come down and test the range daily low. That is when we start thinking, okay, things need to change. They obviously have intentions of sending price lower. But based on what we understand with the cycles, Bitcoin has been dropping for a week. So now we anticipate that if it drops down for 2 days, if it drops down for 2 cycles to the downside, then we are expecting another retrace back up. Well, we've had 1 cycle to the downside, but if we look carefully, okay, you can see this drop down, all right, has been within a previous drop as well. So if you notice that we have been dropping 1 week and we've dropped, come back up, came up again, and then we've dropped again. So 2 drops to the downside, 1 rise up. Are we anticipating the rise to the upside at this point in time? All right. I know the lines are all crazy, guys, but they are very relevant. Okay. So with that in mind, is this the zone that's going to hold? You can see a bigger W formation. You've got a smaller W formation, 3 pins to the low. All right. Price is below the 50 EMA. Okay. The price is now testing whether the 13 and the 5 are going to show us traction towards the upside. Price heading towards the psychological low. It looks like everything appears to be stacked to the favor of the higher side. Okay. But like I said, we need confirmation. Price needs to close above the 50 EMA because right now, market makers have made retail traders believe that the 50 EMA is resistance, which means that if it does pull down further, we'll be forming the second leg of the W formation. So we may see some aggressive behavior right here. And then we could see the shift candle maybe in line with the New York session. So right now, nothing is open for us in the sense where there's nothing for us to do other than wait for the market makers to show us their hand. It's Tuesday. Monday, the false move week beginning has been formed. They are trapping traders up and making them believe that Bitcoin is getting ready to drop down further. Maybe she could, but what we understand right now, Bitcoin isn't showing us that behavior yet. Okay, we can only go by what we see. Ethereum, on the other hand, is showing us pretty much the same story. Look. Notable volume coming in at the lows, pinned to the low. We said last night in the previous stream, all right, that this area should effectively see pin bars to the downside, which will be consistent with the market makers' intention to absorb the liquidity from the lows and then move away from that point. They've done just that, okay? The next projection point for Ethereum would be this area right here, and you can see the pattern, what needs to happen for that zone to be cleared. What needs to happen? Price needs to break above the 50 EMA and it needs to test over the psychological low to confirm that we be looking at taking this previous projection zone right here. Okay. Notable volume coming towards the downside, rise back to the 50, retrace second leg. Okay. Is this going to be part of a second bigger W formation? You know, if we consider this as well, look, drop down and rising up away from that zone. Okay. Crazy, isn't it? We will always be operating in real time. Our information that we have on these charts, okay, is in real time. So we're always having to adjust and we're having to expand our thinking and adapt to the way the market is. This sort of behavior helps you practice and understand how to project, how to read the market maker's behavior, because you're not basing it on hindsight. You are basing it in real time, okay? There's a continuous feedback of information being provided to you, okay? Let's have a look at XRP. XRP looks like she's the one that's dominating this whole situation. All right. You can see how she's been working the lows, stopping volume candle right there, pin to the low, about 5 pins to the low, all in line with the psychological low for the week. You can see that she stayed above that zone. The price is now above the 50 and the 200 and the 800 EMA. It just looks so favorable to the upside. But until price takes out this previous zone right here and goes and aims to break the psychological high, before the 165 projection point gets taken, XRP needs to show us strength. She needs to show us that this stopping volume candle was the market maker's intention at making sure that price does not go any lower. Could she come back down and test it? Most definitely. All right. But we can only go by what they do at this point in time. All right. So I hope that's helped you guys. All right. It's a quick update. I know I've rambled on a little bit, but it's just to give you guys insight into what could happen in today's session. Remember, we've had Monday, the false move week beginning. We are now Tuesday, and we are going to be working towards the midweek reversal point, which is on a Wednesday. All right. Now, we've got information coming out about any of these coins. Who knows? In other words, is Elon going to tweet anything about Bitcoin? Is he going to, cause a stir up in the whole crypto game? Who knows? All we are left to do is to focus on what exactly is happening right now. Man, it's too early for me in the morning. I've only had 3 hours sleep. Shit. All right, and guys, listen, have a great day, and I will be speaking to you guys tomorrow in the projections for episode 21. All right, take care of yourselves, guys. Mad love. Peace.